Well, he did Pirates 5, and he did 2 other movies during that time, and you'll see that he made $65 million during those 2 years. Half of that is 32.5. Amber didn't want that. You'll see a letter, you'll see an email from her lawyer that she forwarded on to her agent, who became Johnny's agent later, saying, I want you to sign this because you're entitled to a whole lot more than $7 million. And I don't want you to come, basically, I don't want you to come back and sue me for malpractice. That's what her lawyer tells her. And then her lawyer says, I offered them even less than I demanded less than they offered. In other words, the $7 million was less than Mr. Depp's team was even offering to her. And she said, I just want to be left alone. I just want to get out of this marriage. I don't want it. I'm not doing this for financial gain. So she didn't take the money. So she said, I'm going to donate all $7 million of this to charity, half to the ACLU, half to Children's Hospital. And then what happened was, and by the way, the $7 million was paid out over time. It's installments. It was over, you'll see the documents, but it's over a couple of years, right? So his business manager, Ed Wake, you'll see the letters, he sends the first $100,000 out of the $7 million to each of them and says, this is a pledge towards the $3.5 million that Amber's donating, and she'll be paying that in installments. So everybody knows she's paying it in installments. You're going to hear differently from them now, but you're going to see that was the admission at the beginning. You're going to hear from Children's Hospital and the ACLU that they assumed this was a pledge paid over a period of time because that's what they do because of tax deductions and things of that nature. So Amber she makes a $250,000 payment to Children's Hospital. Then she also makes a $250,000 payment to Art of Elysium, which is another charity that she worked for, and used to feed and used to do a lot of arts work with the Children's Hospital. She pays $350,000 to the ACLU. Now, in addition to that, she also was dating Elon Musk by this time. You'll find out that Mr. Depp is obsessed with Elon Musk, but she's dating him, so he gives $500,000 to both of those charities in her honor. Now, she doesn't claim that's part of the $7 million, but what happens is that she makes her payments up through 2018. Mr. Depp sues her March 1, 2019 in this litigation. She can't afford right now to be making those pledges. She's got to defend herself. But she has every intention of continuing to make those payments. She has been a lifelong person who has served charities. She used to volunteer at Children's Hospital 3 times a week when she could. She's very much that kind of person, and she intends to. And both ACLU and Children's Hospital will tell you they have no reason to believe she won't be good on her pledges. There's nothing that required her to do a certain amount at a certain time, and she will give it to them once she's able to afford it again. Now, let me talk about the counterclaim for a minute, and then I have to promise to let you go at some point, don't I? So Mr. Depp has decided, you heard from Ben, you're going to see some really, really terrible text messages from Johnny Depp on how he viewed Amber Heard. He calls her some horrific names. But in the summer of 2016, he vows he's going to hunt her. He vows she's going to suffer global humiliation. He says he's going to live in her and she will never forget him. And he meant it. So, in the summer of 2018, you heard Ms. Vasquez say he wants to clear his name, he can't be called a wife beater, etc. But an article, an op-ed appeared on the Sun Times in London. They called him a wife beater. It was written by Dan Wooten, the CEO, or the chief editor of the Sun at the time. And he is writing because Johnny Depp is being cast in Fantastic Beasts 3. And so the article is, why is J.K. Rowling genuinely So you will hear testimony. Let me back up a little bit. So you have heard from Mr. Depp's team that they are going to claim that Amber Heard abused Johnny Depp. You also are hearing from them that he says that she cut off his finger. When you look at the text messages and you look at the emails, you will see that in every one of those, Mr. Depp said to Dr. Kipper, to David Heard, Amber's father, and to others, I cut off my finger. You will see that. He never, throughout the entire time he was married to Amber, ever claimed that she hit him. He never, ever, throughout the time he was married to Amber Heard, claimed that she cut off the finger. Only 2 years later does he, for the very first time, start claiming she abused him and start claiming that she cut off the finger. I'm going to ask you to look hard at the evidence in this case because the evidence is going to show that it never, ever came up before. Now, let's talk about the counterclaim for a few minutes. There's a few statements here. Now, they've said, why are you suing Adam Waldman? You heard from Ben that Adam Waldman didn't come into Johnny Depp's life until October 2016. He wasn't there for any of their marriage. He doesn't have any personal knowledge of their marriage. Everything he does is based on Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp used Adam Waldman as his agent, and you will see a bunch of texts where he's saying, yeah, man, he's going after these people. He's doing all this stuff for me. He's suing my business manager. He's suing the lawyer. He's going at, he's doing all this. He's also going to the press and making all kinds of statements about Amber Heard. And those statements are as follows. And Heather, if you can pull up the first. The first one is Adam Waldman, Depp's lawyer, said afterwards, Amber Heard and her friends in the media use fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and a shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. Now, there isn't any sexual violence hoax. There isn't any hoax at all. But he's out there affirmatively stating that she's got this conspiracy with her friends and she's making these things up. And it's very, very damaging and harmful to her. The testimony will be that these Depp fans take and run with these things. And you're going to hear from an expert who talks about computer-wise, when you search the hoax and you see that it just spreads out into the internet and the social media and generates a lot of negative publicity for Amber. Statement 2, please. This was made in April of 2020. Depp's lawyer, Adam Waldman, said the various discrepancies proved that nothing Heard and her friends said about the events of May 21, 2016 could be considered credible. Quite simply, this was an ambush, a hoax. They set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, but the first attempt didn't do the trick, he told DailyMail.com. The officers came to the penthouses, thoroughly searched and interviewed, and left after seeing no damage to face or property. So Amber and her friends spilled a little wine, roughed the place up, and got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, and then placed a second call to 911. Now, I've already told you all about the events of May 21, but you're also going to hear from the second set of officers. There's no way that Amber was trying with her friends to now get charges pressed against Johnny. They'd cleaned everything up. They didn't want him in there. The absolute opposite of what he says there. The third statement, if you may. Depp's attorney, Adam Waldman, said, when Amanda Day Cadenet, that's a friend of Amber's, Amber Heard's best friend and Me Too activist, recants her support for Ms. Heard and testifies against her, you know we have reached the beginning of the end of Ms. Heard's abuse hoax against Johnny Depp. Amanda Day Cadenet never testified against her, but that's not the part that we're claiming is the defamation. It's abuse hoax against Johnny Depp. In other words, in all of these articles, he's saying that she created an abuse hoax, and you're going to make those determinations of whether that's true or not. But what we're going to show you is that that not only was tremendously damaging to Amber emotionally, and you're going to hear from an expert on domestic violence and intimate partner violence, IPV, about how those triggers happen when you have somebody who's gone through all of this and she's trying to heal and she's trying to get past this, and then bam, you come in there and you inflict this and put this out in the public, and everybody runs with it. There's over 1 million, we're going to tell you about 1 million different searches on the Twitter from these different hits, how that impacts her emotionally every time somebody calls her a liar for what she went through and how hard she tried to protect Johnny Depp so that his children and the public never found out about that Johnny Depp, and how much that has harmed her, and how much emotionally that's impacted her and re-triggered. But we're also going to talk to you about the reputational damages for that. Amber made it through the divorce. Then she got cast in Aquaman. A few of you saw that. That was a blockbuster. It was the highest grossing movie in DC Films history ever, up to this point. It hit over $1 billion in a very short period of time. It was a mega, mega hit. She was moving forward. Then she gets hit with these defamatory statements and all of the Depp followings and the computer and Twitter and everything else. Nobody wants to touch her. And you're going to hear from an expert who's going to say, look at Jason Momoa, look at Gal Gadot, look at other people who started coming up in those tracks from she was Justice League and then Aquaman. Look what they're getting. They're getting commercials. They're getting all kinds of different film opportunities. These are the things that she would have gotten. Nobody will touch her. She's a pariah. And we're going to ask you, as Ben said, to hold Mr. Depp responsible. Enough is enough. But we're also going to ask you to hold him responsible and try to fully and fairly compensate Amber for what he has done to her. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Bretterhoff. Based on the time, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to release you for lunch a little early so we can just start with the first witness when we get back from lunch. I think it's just a natural break. So if you want to go ahead and go with the deputy, just remember, don't talk to anybody about the case and don't do any outside research, okay? And we'll be back here let's get back at, I'll give you a little extra time to 1:45, okay? Just to give you some extra time downstairs, okay? All right, thank you. If you would go with Deputy Luce. All right. Does somebody have the motion eliminates for me? I don't think I've received those signed orders. Okay, first thing after lunch I get them?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, that's perfect. Anything else? All right, we'll be back at 1:45 then, thank you.
All right.